Hello, and thanks for joining us. This is Mikey Wilson from LOWMOON. So, yeah, thanks for joining us today. How's things going with the new record coming out and all that good stuff?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Jamie. All going well, mate. It's funny. I think mentioned it before when we've chatted, but it's like always feels like a bit of a strange gap from finishing the record to actually when it comes out. So
Yeah,
sort of moving on to other tunes and demos and things like that, and then there's sort of a flurry of activity just before the record comes out again. So yeah, been working with the label, so it's out through Safe Suburban Homes. So I've been working with them on all the releases through LOWMOON, which is great. So yeah, just working on sort of the release plan and everything. So had a few singles out over the last few months, and then
yeah,
albums out 20th of March. So we've got a limited run of CDs as well, which is great. So
yeah.
quite a few of those have pre-orders already, but we've got a few left. So yeah, all good.
Great stuff. We'll come on to chat a little bit about Safe Suburban in a bit. But yes, Decade Fever is your third album. So was there anything different that you did this time around compared to, say, Cathedrals, for example?
Yeah, so I think at the start of all three albums, a big part of my process is sort of playing around with new bits of gear and things like that, and sort of experimenting with things. So, before Decade Fever, I sort of went out and bought just a load of cheap gear off eBay.
Yeah,
Anything 80s and Japanese, I'm all over it.
right.
And there's a lot of cheap gear out there, which is great. So, old sort of toy Casio and Yamaha keyboards, old guitar pedals,
Excellent.
old vintage drum machines, things like that. So from a gear perspective, just sort of wanted to approach it a little bit different, just keep it exciting, experiment
Yeah,
with bits of gear and things. And then from the sort of songwriting process, in some ways, I think this record is actually probably the record that I set out to write when I first started LOWMOON.
all right, cool.
And it's just been a process of sort of finding my sound and getting a little bit more sort of confident and in what I'm doing and everything. So I'm really excited for the record to come out. And I think it's probably the tracks are not too dissimilar from the other albums. It's not like it's gone off in a massive sort of tangent or anything, but it's as I say, I think it's sort of the album and the tracks that I sort of set out to record when I first started the project, which is great because I feel like I've moving on forward from this now, like obviously starting to experiment a little bit more in sort of more electronic sounds and that
Yeah.
type of thing.
So what kind of instruments are you currently playing with? So if you said, like, it sounds like you create these kind of soundscapes and worlds in your music. Looking ahead, I know you're just releasing the third album, but are you playing with anything new going forward, or?
I am, yeah. So I've got a couple of new keyboards and drum machines that I'm sort of playing around with,
Okay.
and I've got my eye on a new synth that's just come out. Actually, it's I very rarely buy new gear, but there's
Yeah.
a new Juno synth coming out that I'm desperate to get hold of. So I'll probably pick one of those up as well. I think that'll play a big part in the new album, the fourth one that's coming out. But just a couple of olds. I picked up really old Yamaha drum machine. And an old Casio keyboard that's got drum machine sounds on it that are terrible, but chuck them through a load of guitar pedals and amps and
Yeah.
suddenly come to life a little bit. So so that's what I'm playing around with at the moment, and also a lot of which I haven't done so far, but getting into a little bit more sort of like the sampling world.
Okay.
I've been sampling sampling my guitar and then playing that more like a synth, and sampling vocals, drum machines, and all sorts of synths and things. So just I feel like the fourth album. I know we're here to talk about the third album. The fourth album is definitely quite a different step, I think,
Okay.
in terms of how I'm approaching it and probably the sound and things that I'm coming up with at the moment.
Good stuff. I seem to recall when you released the second album, we were talking about the third album. I think that's just the way it works.
It is, yeah. It comes back to that first point. It's like, so I've pretty much, I think I've pretty much there with the demos for the fourth album at the
Yeah.
moment. So I'll be starting to record and do all the production on those properly soon. So yeah, it's funny sort of coming back to the third album when you know, emotionally you've sort of moved on a little bit with with where you're at.
Good stuff. I've asked you this before, but interested to know your thoughts at the moment on it. And you've said some people do ask you questions around touring and things like that and bringing the records to life. If you were to go down that route, is that something you could ever see as part of this project, or is this very much a DIY, happy producing, creating stuff in your own space and putting it out to the world?
I've never say never. So it's, you know, interestingly, I've started getting a lot more opportunities and people asking me, you know, if I want to play some shows and little tours and things like that. So
Yeah,
a lot of nice opportunities coming up. And I think at some point I potentially might get tempted.
yeah,
But it's at this point in time, there's definitely no sort of definite plans in terms of playing live. So yeah, it's all, you know, it started out just as a playing around, experimenting in the studio and loving the
yeah.
recording process and just getting really stuck into that. But I've played live with loads of bands over the years, so it's something that I do enjoy. And yeah, I guess the more opportunities and things you get offered at some point, something it might stick. So yeah,
Well, yeah. Never say never. Fair enough. Fair enough. And working with Safe Suburban, then, as I said, there's a strong DIY spirit with a lot of their artists. I think it's probably fair to say. Is that what first drew you to them? How did that collaboration come about? Working with those guys and Jim.
yes, I've known Jim since you know, for quite a few years, and actually from bands prior to him setting up the label. And when he set up Safe Suburban Home, I was sort of, you know, used to chat to him and things about it at the time. So
Yeah,
obviously I wasn't doing Low Moon at that point when
yeah,
he
yeah,
first took it off, so it was just sort of interested in watching how it grew. And I think he's done an amazing job, and he's just recently taken on a few more sort of people helping him out with bits and pieces at the label, which is great. So it's nice to see it starting to grow, and to have a local York label as well. It's brilliant. So obviously I love
yeah.
that aspect of it. So yeah, you know, I really love a lot of the bands that Jim puts out, and he's just really easy to work with, and it's sort of nice having, rather than having to shop around every time you want to put something out.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need a label, but it's nice to have when you're doing everything, absolutely everything
Mm.
yourself. It's just
Yeah.
nice to have someone else that you can sort of you know, work with and take a little bit of the pressure off on some of the other bits. So yeah, it's been great. Really enjoy working with Jim. I feel like it's sort of like you know, it's a bit of a home label now.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
we know we've worked with each other for a long time, and you know, I trust his opinion on things. So it's been, yeah, nice sort of building that relationship with the label.
Great stuff. And of course, as you mentioned earlier, the album is released through them, and you can currently grab hold of a CD version of the album. You've released previous albums on tapes and cassettes and things like that, haven't you? So
Yeah.
where do people need to go if they want to grab hold of the CD, for example?
Yeah, so the CD's available on Safe Suburban Homes Bandcamp page, or if you follow me on Instagram, then there's sort of links in the bio and everything to pick those up. But yeah, if you just, I mean, you could Google Low Moon Decade Fever and it would probably pop up. But yeah, it's on Safe Suburban Homes Bandcamp page is where you'd find that.
Great stuff. And are there any tracks going back to the third, like your new album? Are there any tracks that you think, yeah, I really love more than others, or anything stands out?
Yeah, I think one of my favourite tracks is it's one called Wasting Time.
Yeah.
It's maybe not the most sort of instant singly type track, but it's the one that I sort of you know, the chorus, it drops rather than building up
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
things, and it was just one of those songs that just came together really quickly.
Yeah.
Probably took sort of like 30, you know, 45 minutes to get the bones of the track down, and then it was just a case of sort of building it up from there. So yeah, I think that's probably the track that I'm most proud of on the album, or you know, that I really love. But there's others on there that again, it's sort of, I don't know, they mean something to you, don't they? And
Yeah.
it's I don't know, but yeah. So they're all, I like them all for different reasons, but I think Wasting Time is probably the one that, you know, that's the one that I think it sort of epitomises what I was going for with the album and what LOWMOON's about, and means something to me. And just really enjoyed the process of working on that track as well. Really proud of it.
Amazing. No, the whole album is a cracker as ever. I'm a big fan, as you know. But yes, got a few more questions just because this pod is This Thing's On. So as part of the work that we're doing here, what is kind of what you're into at the moment? So what you tuned into, what kind of music you're listening to? Is any of that inspiring what you're currently doing?
Yeah, definitely. There's actually an American label. I'm not sure where they're based. I think it's LA or something. Or yeah, I don't know. But American label called Spirit Goth.
Okay.
And it's a guy in a band called Castlebeat who runs the label.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they put out a lot of bands that, you know, I find a lot of music through that label. So yeah, I'd say I love sort of 90% of everything they put out, really. So it's probably within the sort of, you know, the genre of what I'm writing, that sort of
Yeah.
dreamy, lo-fi indie sort of vibe. So yeah, I've been sort of met some really nice people through that, and just sort of chatting to bands coming through that label. So yeah, I'm really loving that. I go through phases where I listen to a lot of older music.
Yeah.
I love bands like The Cure, Joy Division, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And just really enjoy sort of listening back to all those albums. But then equally, you know, there's so much amazing new music now.
Yeah.
And as I say, yeah, I think Spirit Goth, for anyone that's interested, go check. Great label. Got loads of brilliant bands that they're putting out on a regular basis.
Amazing. Right. Well, thank you so much, Mikey. This has been This Thing's On. And don't forget that you can listen to Decade Fever now. You can listen to it in all the usual places. Get over onto Bandcamp with Safe Suburban Homes and you can grab hold of a CD as well. But yeah, thanks for your time. And we look forward to the album and good luck with it. Hope it's as successful as you want it to be. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, man. Thank you.